Hello, YouTube! I am Pinstar, and this is Surviving Mars Strategy and Tactics Episode 2. Now, you may be saying, Pinstar, your base looks a little bit different. What's the deal, yo? Well, just to give you a little quick background, Episode 1 was recorded the day before the official launch date. And on the official launch date, I was told that a big patch was being pushed out that had a good chance of breaking saved games. And while I was able to boot up my save game after applying that patch, I did notice some cracks appear, and figured it would be a bit too dangerous to continue the series on that particular save game. So what I've done here is I've taken the exact same sponsor, the exact same captain's profile, the exact same map coordinates, and just restarted the game and did exactly the same thing I did before. Yeah, slight variation, but my advice holds true. So we're just going to pick up where we left off. And where we left off, or rather where I said we were going to leave off, was once we had gathered up enough fuel and sent our ship on its way, we were going to start off with what to put in your second ship. So let's get started with that right now. Right then, obviously, cargo rocket. We are nowhere near ready for that. Also, a little background, they temporarily, as a bug, increased the price of the RC Explorer from 400 million to 1,400 million, and that scared the crap out of me, but that apparently was a typo bug, so they fixed that. Which is good, because we kind of want that, and we only want to pay 400 million for it. We also want the RC Transport. Both of these are critical at this juncture. The reason I didn't take any Rovers with our first rocket wasn't because I thought Rovers were bad. No, they're not orbital probes. No, they just don't. They need you to do some scanning before they really become useful. So that's kind of my reasoning behind that. Now, as far as other materials, we want another moisture evaporator. Yes, I scanned out another water deposit. We could easily tap into that and get our domes water with that rather than buying another moisture evaporator. However, I'm presenting this strategy as if you don't have any water near you, so we're not going to be tapping into that. As far as other stuff, we're going to want 10 electronics, 10 machine parts, and 10 polymers. All of these will go into the construction of the dome itself, as well as some buildings and other infrastructure pieces for that dome in due time. And now another item, and this is going to be where it diverges from a lot of popular builds, but we are going to get 30 food. That's right. It might seem weird because, well, we don't have any colonists. Nobody's going to eat that food. Nothing is going to be done with that food. But trust me, it's essential. It's important, and it's actually really helpful. And with our final 1,000 kilogram of space, one more drone. Waste not, want not. Let's launch this bad boy. While we wait for our rocket to return, let me just give you a quick tour of what we found with our new location here. A couple more anomalies. Actually, we found the same number of anomalies, just different types, which that's fine. We've got ourselves a underground metals. We got a rare metals. That's always good to have a rare metals spot, because that's always good for a second dome location.
Sector scanned. Anomaly
and
found.
Another anomaly, excellent. In contrast with our original location, which by the way was down here, not seeing any breakthrough anomalies, which is fine because I'm not going to be utilizing breakthrough anomalies in this particular playthrough anyway. Just because you cannot make a build or a strategy that absolutely depends on having a specific breakthrough tech. Because of the tech tree RNG, there's no way that there's two playthroughs will have early access to the same breakthrough tech, unless you get incredibly lucky. But that being said, I am happy to see a greater variety of things here, because once we get our rover up and running, I can give you guys a little bit of lesson on efficient and effective anomaly analyzing order of operations. Let's crank that up actually fast. In the meantime, just let it sit tight here. Let your fuel refineries fuel refinery themselves up. They each have a local storage capacity of 100 fuel, not to mention the 30 that we've got here. Oh, and actually, you know what? You should actually not allow fuel at your universal depots. And there's a very good reason for that. If you click on, first off, in order to disable a specific resource, if you click on here, you can click on the resource to disable. Now, I realized that they were bringing fuel here before, so there is some fuel here, but they'll take it off there, and because I've disabled it, they won't bring more here. So why disable fuel? Well, I found this out in one of my earlier test games. If a meteor hits your storage depot and there is fuel there, it will explode Michael Bay style and take out the rest of the resources on that depot. Presumably, without the fuel, the rest of the resources would survive the impact. So let's not mix fuel with all of our advanced materials, because that could be painful. All right, we're getting some good stuff. We're getting some metal deposits found. That's excellent. We're pretty much just going to be scanning up this whole upper area and then going and looping around here. All right, almost homeward bound, 100%. Excellent. All right, now as far as where to land this thing, pretty much you're going to be using your lone drone hub as your base of operations. You're not going to be trying to leapfrog drone capacity or drone reach with your things. As such, your ship will get refueled a lot faster if it's near your refinery. So I think I'm just going to land Sharky right back where we were before. Not too close, because again, you don't want to kick up dust and force early repairs on your stuff. So we're just going to land right where we were before, because that's early and close and easy access to the fuel supplies. Sharky will come down, do its thing. And while it is coming down here, we're going to want to start laying the groundwork for our dome, which I think we're going to put our first dome right here. Again, you want to mind the drone range. Let's see here. I think that would be good. Yeah, that should be good. We're going to want to put our first dome as 0 priority here. Let's just make sure. Oh yeah, we've got plenty of room around it. All right, now when it comes to laying down stuff for your dome, what I like to do with it is, I call this the circle of life. We are going to wrap both electrical cables and piping all the way around the dome completely. We are also going to make sure it is a separate network from our other pipes and electricity. This not only reduces the chance of each individual part causing a pipe leak or a cable fault, but it also allows us to get our it helps us, keep these two separate. So if there's a fault on one area, it doesn't hurt the other. Right then. Now, again, we want to get our infrastructure first before the dome is built. So make sure you put your dome on lowest priority so that your drones know to do everything else around the dome first. As far as what we're going to put around the dome, well, we bought this extra moisture evaporator, and this is going to be useful. So go ahead and put it down somewhere where it would be useful and not going to conflict with your other moisture evaporators. I think right here is pretty good. The other thing we want to put down is a Moxie. Moxies are going to be definitely very useful. But the other thing you'll want is a water tower at least one, and an oxygen tank. And you want to put these near the smaller utility conduits, and also separate from each other and separate from your producers. Very important on that, just to protect them from meteor strikes, to sort of mitigate the damage. Now, to keep all of these powered at the moment, not counting the dome, we're going to need some wind turbines, 2 of them to be exact. The primary mode of power for getting your dome up and running is going to be wind turbines. That's why we bought all those extra machine parts. Oh yeah, our rovers are ready. So let us press them into service. So the first type of anomalies you should be getting with your RC rover are key techs. Get those researched first. Because those will open up new research possibilities on your tech tree, allowing you to cherry pick the ones that you really want. Now, we kind of lucked out here. This, by the way, is my new shuffled tech tree as far as our choices, because we've got some really good early ones. The Earth-Mars initiative is paramount. This is probably the best first tech we could get. Low-G high-rises are also very useful, very important. Not hypercritical that we get actually right away, but the hydroscopic Vaporators also very useful. Transport optimization's okay, but not great. The transport rover brings enough stuff in as it is. Speaking of the transport rover, we're going to want to find some far-flung resources. Hit the make new route. I usually just say all in case there's like a stray polymer meteor sitting around there, and go about it, my friend. Yes, I do know that there's this anomaly sitting right here in the middle of my base. That will be built. That will be researched in due time. We actually saved the beaker ones for the very last, so that'll be sitting there for a little while longer, but in due time. Oh, one other thing to help keep your drones working efficiently is at each of the exit locations, the bigger doors here, put a recharge station. That way when your drones are going around your base here or in and out and whatnot, and they need a little juice, you've got extra juice providers sitting there for you. Yeah, well, that was a kind of a tight sector there, so that makes sense that there's nothing there. This one might yield some goodies. Yeah, we've got a little rough terrain near us, so our scanning is not 100% efficient.
Anomaly analyzed.
All right, let's see what...
Milestone.
There's more to the barren...
Ooh. All right, we got lucky with that one. So when you analyze key text, how many texts and what types of text they unlock can be random. Your key text will sometimes give you one more of each of the different classes, and that's actually really, really freaking good. The soil adaptation tech that we just unlocked, very, very important. In fact, I'm trying to think of the best next tech to take here. Well, you know what? We don't have to commit to that because we have more key techs to research. So we're going to unlock even more research possibilities. And that's why you want to research the key techs first, to open up your research possibilities before you commit to researching anything, or, well, anything deeper. Obviously, you're going to have to commit to researching one thing in the very beginning, but you can usually find something that's halfway decent. Now, the reason why we are going with pure wind for our dome structures here is the nature of the dome, and especially the life support going into the dome, is that the dome needs to have power. It needs to have power 24/7. Now, there are two threats out there that can prevent that. The dust storm will put a damper on that if you have too much reliance on solar, and cold waves will cause you to demand more power. But ultimately speaking, the wind power is probably the most reliable prior to you being able to get Stirling Generators. Speaking of Stirling Generators, Unless you are playing on a really easy difficulty and have a ridiculously wealthy sponsor, I would avoid utilizing them in the early game. I would not buy them prefab. However, once you have the technology research that allows you to build them yourself, and B, the ability to produce electronic parts on your own, making Stirling Generators is going to be a very, very useful part of a strategy.
Anomaly analyzed.
Now, the reason why we wanted to get these utilities up and running first is that right now nothing is using up this water or this oxygen, but that's why we have our tanks here. We want to start filling our water towers and our tanks. And actually what we really want to do is we want to get some redundancies up. So I'm actually going to go ahead and build another water tank, 2 more water tanks to be exact, and 2 more oxygen tanks. This will help sort of bulletproof your colony. Or I wouldn't say bulletproof. That's being a little bit much. It isn't disaster proof, but it is disaster resistant. All right, let's see what we got here. There's more to the barren and decommission protocol. And see, we didn't get nearly as many new goodies with that key tech, but that's okay. That's okay. Decommission protocol will be useful in due time. This thing's absolutely useless. And yeah, we can go with the low-G high-rise as our second tech here. Although, we might actually want to go progressing down the social tree just to start knocking techs out there. Because actually almost all of the first 5 techs of the social tree are super important to this build. So even if some of those are not immediately useful, we're going to want to go down that route anyway. The others are important too, don't get me wrong. All right, Sharky is getting loaded up. We had a lot of built-up fuel here, but the drones are making quick work of that. That's why I'm glad we have so many drones. All right, our Explorer, do we have any more key techs? We do not. Okay, so after your key techs, you want to get breakthrough tech anomalies. No breakthrough anomalies here. After them, eyeball anomalies. And actually, this runs counter to a bit of advice that I gave during my live stream where I said you want to save the eyeballs for last. The reason why you are not saving it for last is eyeball techs there's a very good chance that you'll get some sort of discount bonus where a specific tree of research will cost like 10% fewer beakers. And if you get that, then you want to get that first before you get the beaker anomalies that give you research, because that way, if depending on what's getting discounted,
sector scan.
Whoa, that was a rich one. Nice. Anyway, depending on what's being, depending on what beakers you're getting in there, you might be able to score a tech for fewer overall beakers, which will make your beaker anomalies more effective. So this thing is out of juice. That's fine. How many we need? We're gonna need more concrete, so we're gonna nix that and rebuild under a new concrete deposit. Now this is a very low quality concrete. This is the problem. This particular map has a 1 pip in concrete quality, or concrete availability, I should say. So that all the deposits are kind of crappy. So we'll just build a new wire out to here. I was originally going to cut it in half and like take 2 bites of it, but then my colony ended up being a little bit closer to it. So I'm like, there's enough concrete deposits around here that I don't need to nurse them quite so aggressively. But yeah, this build is kind of concrete heavy, as most builds are that involve dome structures, so you do want to have a persistent income of it.
Vehicle battery low.
Alright, let's see what we get here.
The readings told us it was a vein rich with ore. but the data turned out to be incorrect. Under those fine red sands lay the intact hull of a rover.
Now, whenever you get these, I would almost always take the research boost. Although 500 million in funding is really, really useful for us on a hard difficulty, I'm gonna go with the research boost. So now, well, first off, we can send our rover back up here to get charged, and then we can start knocking out these. And now,
Dust storm approaching. Research complete.
dust storm approaching, and yeah. Now these cost less, and ooh, yes, systematic training, very useful. Productivity training, not as immediately. In fact, I'm going to do systematic training first. We can do productivity training a little bit later. But systematic training is going to be very, very useful. Dust storms are not ideal, but again, something we're going to have to deal with on this map. Alright, our rovers are doing their thing, and actually our Sharky is good and ready to take back off. We have built the one and only prefab, so we can go ahead and launch it. And it'll donate its one drone to the drone hub, while the drone hubs do their thing. Yeah, get out of here before the dust storm hits, because dust storms prevent ships from taking off or landing during their duration. So, glad that we got Sharky out of there in time. Alright, so rover is juicing up. And let's go and get those beaker anomalies now that those are the only ones left. Right then. So yeah, the drones are starting to fill up the dome. Our transport rover has gobbled up all the materials it could find, which is fun.
Meteor shower incoming.
Oh boy, you guys are laying it on thick here today. Hopefully we'll be fine as long as it doesn't directly target us. Alright, here's the minerals. And back here. Now it may seem somewhat excessive. You know, you might think, oh, well, I got plenty of metals. No, you want to gather metals aggressively. Any metals that you can get your hands on, bring them to the colony. Trust me. It's going to be very important and very worth it. Also, I realized don't do beaker anomaly research without at least one tech under your belt as a backup here. Otherwise, well, bad things. You might miss out on some of that bonus research because it can be 1,500 in what you get for that beaker anomaly. And if that's the case, we're going to have some spillover, and we'd lose that spillover unless we had a backup tech ready to go.
Anomaly analyzed.
All right, see, 1250. So that
research complete.
We just finished that. That being said, I do want to get Mars crowdfunding going. That's going to be actually quite important to us in the very near future. But so are these. Actually, that will be important. That'll be important. That'll be important. That will be important. So we've got our text pretty well laid out for us. Right then, let's go and get more beaker techs.
Milestone achieved. We have a power shortage.
Once the dome has been constructed, turn it off. We don't want it sucking power, and we do not want it sucking water and air. We want those to continue filling up our structures here. But that being said, we do want to build stuff in here.
Anomaly found.
Hang on, what kind of anomaly did we? Breakthrough anomaly. Well, I'm already kind of pot committed and whatnot to doing our beakers. I'll get the breakthrough anomaly next. Right then, so for our buildings inside the dome here, we're not going to build it out to the nines, but what we are going to do is we need to get a living quarters. We need to get ourselves a research lab. Oh yeah, dust storms, turn your solar panels off, turn your fuel refineries off, and they will obviously turn your moisture evaporators off as well. And since we're relying entirely on moisture evaporators, including for our dome, this is why we want to be so aggressive about getting these materials into our water tower, so that our population does not go thirsty when a dust storm happens to hit. Now, the other thing that we want in here is we want a grocer, and we want an infirmary. And if you make sure you leave yourself a little space here in the middle, you can also squeeze in a small fountain. And that's it for the moment. For your very first stage, for welcoming your founders, this is all we're going to give them. And this is all they really need. Do not resist the temptation
Research
to build and overbuild like crazy. Life from Mars is useful, but ultimately optional. It's like I said, because it appears here at the very end, I can, in good faith, skip it. And we can get started on some of our other stuff, the hydroscopic evaporators, the soil adaptation, the low G high-rises, the decommissioning protocol, all very useful. And we analyzed our anomaly, so let us send you to get that. All right, good. Our meteor shower is not going to rain death on us. I know it can rain death on you, although I've never actually seen it rain death on an early stage colony, so I don't know if it's hard-coded to have the epicenter not hit the center of your early colony and, then take that protection off once your colony is established enough to actually survive a meteor shower. But that's neither here nor there. A direct, a meteor shower centered on here, no amount of strategy and tactics is going to let you survive that. However, you can survive the stray meteor hit, which is absolutely a possibility. All right, this dust storm is not going to be too gnarly as far as that. In fact, our ship is already back home. So that is going to bring us to the end of this episode. So in our next episode, we are going to fill up our ship with our first set of founders, as well as, bring them in here and see what we can do with the rest of our technologies. But what type of founders do we want? What type of people do we want? And what are our strategies with that? Well, you'll have to see in the next episode. So, if you like this episode and you want to see more like it, go ahead and hit that like button. Hit that subscribe button and leave me a comment, good, bad, or indifferent. Your feedback's always welcome. So until next time, this has been Pinstar, signing out. See ya.